My big injury story that I always tell people happened when I was very young.
Here we go.
And it involves my teeth.
My terrible mouth accident by Let Me Explain Studios. Just when I was searching up dental animation stories, this video popped up. And once again, we're going to have a look at it from a dental perspective. Let's get into it.
Well, good porch swings are designed so they can't flip over. But this one, well...
The slow-mo. No. Ouch.
The force of the fall had pushed my front teeth back and up into my head.
No. There's a lot to unpack here. So it looks like an intrusion injury as well as a luxation injury. So that's where the teeth are being pushed up. So when that's pushed up, sometimes that can actually damage the adult tooth and affect the eruption of the adult tooth later on. But depending on what happens with the baby teeth, they may have to be removed if they're fractured, or if they're still in one piece, and you can try reposition them back, but there's a good chance that the teeth are probably dead and the teeth are probably going to go grey, and you might get some infection later on. That's something that you just have to monitor for and might require more treatment later on. These teeth normally fall out around 6 to 7 years old. So she's still got another 3 years that the teeth would normally be there for.
Without a moment to lose, Dad grabbed me and Rachel, threw us into the back of the car, and sped off to the hospital. Rachel sat next to me the whole ride, holding my head back so I wouldn't bleed on everything. And being only 5 years old herself, naturally she was freaking out. And Dad was even more distraught, feeling like the worst father in the world. But as he quietly panicked to himself, all of a sudden he heard from the back seat, when we got to the hospital, the doctors ended up having to push my teeth back into their original position, but these teeth.
So when you move the teeth back into the original position, they'll use a flexible splint just to kind of hold the teeth in their position while the body recovers around them. You don't want to use a really solid wire because the teeth won't have their natural movement. If that happens when the body heals, it'll fuse the bone to the teeth because there's no natural movement of the teeth.
There wasn't anything more that the doctors could do at the hospital, but we still had to wait 2 weeks for me to heal before I could see a dentist. And what the dentist ended up having to do was give my front 2 teeth a root canal and then fill it with a compound so it would stay in my head until my permanent teeth were ready to come in.
So that's one option if you want to keep those primary teeth, but to be honest, there's no major problem if you remove the front teeth early. Assuming there's no damage to the adult teeth, then they should come through anyway. Around 6 years old, if you've had the teeth removed earlier, then sometimes the adult teeth will come through earlier as well.
The whole ordeal had basically killed my front 2 teeth, and they turned yellow. Also, the next tooth over needed a half metal crown on the back of it, and given that teeth are translucent, that made the tooth look green.
With baby teeth, the root canal treatment is a little bit different from if you were to have it in an adult tooth. With the adult teeth, you want it to last as long as possible. So the root filling in there is a material that's quite solid. Whereas for baby teeth, when the adult tooth comes through, it actually eats away at the root of the baby tooth. So you don't want anything that will stay around while the adult tooth is going through there. So they use a different chemical which will actually be absorbed as the adult tooth comes through.
So yeah, for the next few years of my childhood, I was walking around with yellow and green teeth. Just look at this jacked up mouth of mine. I think I had these teeth until I was about 6 or 7.
Well, you can definitely see her gums are quite inflamed, so she has a bit of gum disease, and that might be because of the fillings and the work that she's had done around those teeth. So the teeth are probably not as smoothly shaped as they would have been, and that leads to bacteria building up around those fillings where it's a little bit rough.
And as you can imagine, such a blow to the face not only messed up my baby teeth, but my permanent teeth came in wonky as well. In fact, when I went to the orthodontist to get braces in middle school, she discovered I had 4 permanent teeth that were supposed to come in, but were stuck up in my gums.
Just like in Jaden Animation's video, we've got another OPG here. With her upper teeth, the centrals have come in okay, and then the canine is impacted because there's not enough space in between that lateral tooth and the first premolar for the canine to fit through. On the other side, it might be the canine or it might be the lateral, which doesn't have enough space to come through. But judging by the previous photo that we saw, it looks like the laterals did come through, which means that this tooth here might be the canine, but it's actually wedged in between the teeth in front instead of the position where it normally would be. Yeah, so on the top left side, it looks like she's missing her second premolar as well. So she's missing one tooth here. And the bottom teeth, it looks like both canines are impacted as well. It's quite common for the canines to be the ones that are stuck because they're actually the teeth that come through at the end after everything else has come through.
Stuck up in my gums. I had to get teeth removed so they could come in. My mouth was a train wreck.
So if they haven't come through, they'll do a little surgery where they'll open up a little hole and then stick a little chain onto that tooth so that they can slowly drag it down into a position where it's supposed to be.
Thankfully, I think I've finally got these chompers under control. They ain't perfect, but who could blame them after going through such misery? It's okay, teeth. You're good enough. That's why I never animate you.
Alright, well, leave any dental trauma stories that you have. I want to make a video where I react to your stories that are in the comments.